Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm Simona Nicole, host of the show, mindset coach, and motivational speaker. I've made it my mission to help you get unstuck, shift your mindset, and understand your worth to help you live your most purposeful life. Each week, I will bring you an idea, guest, or a positive thought that will leave you inspired and empowered to win your life. We decide the stories we tell ourselves and where we invest our energy. I'm so grateful you popped in. Now let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode on the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm very excited to bring you today's guest onto the show. I think this is going to be such an incredible conversation for you all to hear. You're going to learn so much because she's so inspiring, has accomplished so many things that we're going to dive into, and has had quite the journey that's brought her to where she is today. So today on the show, we have Genecia Alluora, and she is a former Miss Singapore, cafe retail chain owner, and Southeast Asia Women of Excellence 2010, International Progressive Women 2019. She is the founder of Soul Rich Woman, the #1 female entrepreneur network in Southeast Asia that connects more than 200,000 women across the region in the Soul F membership program. For the past 17 years, Genecia coached celebrities, CEOs, and politicians to be seen as leaders on stage. Today, with the Soul Rich Women Blueprint and SRW Academy, she mentors thousands of women to bring their business and leadership brand online. Her vision is to support 1 million women to own and love the F word. Before establishing Soul Rich Woman, Genecia was an owner of a cafe retail chain with a presence in 3 countries with 18 franchisees and licensees that successfully exited to a public listed company after 4 years. She's the winner of 2 awards in 2014, the Franchisee and Franchisor of the Year runner-up by Franchise and Licensing Association Singapore. For women who love the F word, being fabulous, having freedom, financial independence, and family, Genecia is a podcast host and producer since 2019 for her 2 podcasts for women who love the F word, and a daily 10-minute marketing podcast called Soul Wise, Secrets of the Soul Rich Woman Blueprint. She's also the author of Personal Branding Secrets. So from as young as 14 years of age, Genecia had to support herself through school, through working a 9-to-5 job as an occupational therapist, and later become a serial entrepreneur. She had gone through the highs and lows of being a business owner. Her epic journey from being in a six-figure debt to becoming a millionaire in 2013 fueled her passion to support women to do the same, to own the F word. She has been profiled in CNBC, Forbes, China Daily, and she's a thought leader and leading women's empowerment expert. She is regularly invited to speak on TV and radio, and as well as conferences. This is like so incredible, I think, Genecia. She has shared the stage with great minds like Gary Vee, Mary Buffett, Kim Kiyosaki, and Neil Patel, all of them who are such great inspirations to me as well. So thank you so much, Genecia, for being on the show today. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show, Simona.
Oh, I'm so excited to dive in this conversation with you, and very looking forward to all of the incredible things that we're going to talk about today. So I guess I know I was sort of like reading and letting our listeners know a little bit about you, but I'd love to know a little bit more from your perspective about the journey that's brought you where you are today. Is there, a specific catalyst moment that shifted everything for you?
I think the catalyst moment for me was when I realized that I need to have a big why, bigger than who I am and the things that I was going through. Because when I was working, when I was really young, I had to support myself through school. But at that point, I was also constantly being bullied because I didn't have a lot of money. I couldn't change new clothes. I mean, my school uniform had holes in them because they were old already and hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
So already it was not so easy for me. And my mom always reminded me, turn your mess into your message. And that in itself kind of ingrained in me to tell myself that, hey, you know what, Genecia, you cannot give up your life. You cannot just go into depression, give your life away to suicide, and pull myself up. And my mom really became that pillar of support, even up to today, when I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling down, going through all my different ups and downs in life. For example, my 6-figure debt, or even when I was successful running a cafe retail chain, To me, she is my source of my strength because I was able to turn my mess into a message. And today, by running Soul Rich Woman, I saw how this whole message thing has allowed me the capacity and capability to empower more women through the academy, my coaching programs, and my products.
Oh, that is so good. It reminds me a lot of Simon Sinek's Start With Why. I don't know if you've heard of him or that concept, but the concept is at the core of it that we all have this bigger why. And instead of doing, trying to figure out how you're going to do it or what you're going to do, when you turn inwards and you focus on why you're going to do it, that's when the magic starts to happen, which is so incredible. It sounds like exactly what's happened for you. I would love to know about what it was like to build and to create Soul Rich Woman. Um, you know, what was that whole process like? Where did it come from? How was it born? And how do you continue evolving it, especially in today's world?
I think Soul Rich Woman was born because I wanted to leave a legacy. Like I said, my mom was the source of inspiration. She was already supporting other women, helping other women in the community in leading a healthy lifestyle, helping them to solve their problems, to be more confident and grow, help to bring up their children. So to me, that was something I wanted to do in the long run. And I started that during the time when I was running my cafe retail chain. I was based in Indonesia, and the only way for me, of course, I could travel in and out of the country, but internet was the easiest and fastest way to be there for people. So I turned on my webcam in 2014, in fact, and then I started doing this thing called the Webinar Wednesday, which was every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. sharp for an entire year. I would be teaching people on the internet, how do you make money online, how do you do branding, how do you build funnels, how do you do stuff. So that was how I got started, right? And it was horrible. It started with 0 viewers, to the sound of the crickets. Okay, it was like okay, nobody's watching. Maybe one person, my cat, was sitting beside me and watching me doing the webinar. So it was funny, right, when I was there. And later on, I mastered the F word, which was Facebook ads and funnels, which literally changed the way I do my stuff. So I brought in people to watch my webinars, run ads, and then it start from 5 to 10, 100 to 500 to 1,000 viewers. And that was how I built up my community over a period of time. 3 things I would like to say, and I've learned in the last 5 years since I started. One would be you must know what is the one problem that you are solving for your customer. Love your customer more than you love your product, because if you are just focusing on creating something because you're good at that thing, but if you're not really solving the need of the customer in today's competitive climate, I can tell you, you'll be drowned in a sea of sameness. Everybody is calling themselves a social media marketing strategist, Instagram growth expert, Pinterest growth expert. Everyone is calling themselves that right now. Nothing wrong with that. But how are you going to be different in order to make a difference with your own experiences? So you need to have personalization to be authentic in order to make that uniquely your own. So point number 2 will bring me to the point where you must be making things uniquely your own, because even though you can be the next Instagram growth expert, but what in your experiences will allow that for you to make yourself in that position. Lead without the title, lead with your heart. That would be the third point that I will highly recommend you, especially when consumers are really savvy right now. And that is what exactly Soul Rich Woman is doing. We help women to go from offline to online, to bring their business from offline to online, to bring their leadership brand from offline to online. And the tools we use are with our Soul Rich Woman Blueprint and podcasting. So these are the 2 main vehicles that we help women to achieve their, to get clients online, to be seen as a leader online. So you need to find unique ways. The tools can be used by everybody. Everybody can do the same thing. But the blueprint, the Soul Rich Woman Blueprint, is truly uniquely ours.
I love that. You said so many good things in there because it's so true. It's a market where this the way that society is now, you can literally be anything that you want to be, and you can do anything you want to do. There's so many resources to learn and to grow, right? And with that being said, when it comes to your client and knowing your client like better than you know your own self, what are some ways that someone could start to get clarity on that? If you know, they know who their ideal client is, but it's kind of like a little bit of a mess between this type of person. Maybe they're a woman, maybe they're a mom, maybe they're not a mom, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, how do you start to differentiate exactly who that soul client is for you? And you know, how do you start to find out exactly what their problem is?
So that's many questions in one,
I
Simona.
know. I tend to
so,
do that, Genecia. I'm sorry.
the one thing first that you really need to look at is to remember this: sell to everybody, sell to nobody, speak to one, speak to many. I think that in itself is super important, because by knowing that you cannot be everything to everybody is key. Number two, you want to be looking into, don't think about whether you're a mom or not a mom or who are you to be, but look at how are you going to solve that one problem. I give you an example. If you were to be at a library and or at a bookstore and you're supposed to learn how to play a guitar, would you pick up a book that tells you learn how to play a guitar in 48 hours, okay? Or how to play My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion in 48 hours?
Probably the second one.
Yeah, that's right. Probably the second one, depending on the music or the song.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be Ed Sheeran's song, right? But one popular song would solve the problem immediately in within the 48 hours versus playing just the guitar in 48 hours, right?
Okay.
So when you are able to solve that one problem for your customer immediately, that in itself, you will be able to generate income immediately. So that is quite equivalent when we discover our own niche, our own area, because to find the customer, to find that person who will fit your product is sometimes nearly impossible. Why not create something for them? So I recommend doing like surveys, like quick beta groups for you to test your products and allow them to give you feedback and create something for them. I give you another example. Our Soul Rich Woman membership that is only $12 a month, our Soul F Mastermind, that was
Amazing.
created out of feedback. I used to create membership programs that 5-6 years ago was about $700-800 a year, which is not that expensive considering the market that we are serving. And then later on, I realized that it's not really working out. The take-up rates are slow. You have to do a lot more explanation why you deserve that amount. And then later on, I drop it to $49 a month, to $39 a month, to $29 a month. And after having physically traveled to Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, to Malaysia, to Thailand, to Myanmar, to Cambodia, and then the Philippines as well. And I travel all these countries, and I'm like, these women are not even making money at all. They're making 300 US a month. What makes you think they can afford $800 or $900 a month? Because my target market is not people. My target market is Southeast Asian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when a woman is only making, maybe even those who are working in banking are making 1,000. Those who are in direct sales and network marketing probably making 20,000 US a month. So depending on where I'm targeting. So where I'm serving my membership is where women are allowed a 2 video a month for them to get started, because a lot of them are very overwhelmed and confused, piecemealing videos on the internet, crawling blogs on the internet, crawling different programs, and they feel very confused. So I just want to give women a structured learning for an entire year and continue to give them value when they continue the membership with us. So that is how we grew from the same thing, open to the doors of the crickets again, 0 to the first 12, and then after the first 20, the first 100, and then first 1,000, and now we are at 200,000.
Incredible.
It's all about giving the value and knowing who you are serving. We've got even women from, from all around the world signing up for the $12 membership, even though it was intended for the market in Southeast Asia. But because of the way we structure the program, women are just coming in to see what's happening and they want to be part of the community. So really love your customers more than you love your product. And that was how I derived at this very successful membership program that I have, as then compared to my own personal failure right at the beginning where nobody really bought the membership program.
Mm, I love that. And you know what? That's a really, really good point too, because we don't always get to see or hear about the failure that people might experience. And not failure in the sense that it's like something so terrible has happened, but more of like something that's allowed you to continue on and to sort of launch into a new direction. How has, you know, failure in some sense, or any sense you'd like to take it, really shifted and shaped how you've moved forward? I mean, like, this is definitely an example, but what would be like another failure that sort of launched you into a different direction?
I think having debts really caused me to look at life at a different
Mm.
perspective. I think one of the other thing is failed partnerships that brought me into the six-figure debt. When I started my business, I actually started a dating agency back in 2011, and
Wow.
it was with two other girlfriends. Okay, so girlfriends, you're like, okay, now let's do something together. And because for me, I was a little bit more financially independent than the two of them, so I was the bigger shareholder, but I was already running my image consultancy business.
Mm.
And I said, why not two of you just run? I become the sleeping partner. And without a contract, without black and white, it was just like registering for a company. And then we just put our names together. There was no systems and process because we're all new in this. And I even sent them for certification to be a dating consultant. And that in itself, well, was a big mistake because they don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And, I was the sleeping partner. I said, don't worry, let's do this together. I put in the money, and then I was the biggest shareholder, and they only put in like, maybe, for example, 30% or 30% in the total number of shares.
Right.
And that in itself taught me two lessons. First, never, 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 never do business with just friends. And
Mm.
even you are just friends, please have black and white, have a legal contract with it. I think that is really very important. Only when you have legal contract, that is when your assets are going to be covered. At least when something happens, you are able to dispute this legally. But there was any contract, who was responsible for what, and that in itself was a huge mistake. And fast moving forward, if you look at the way I run my cafe business, it was not done alone on my own effort. And I had four other partners. I was in charge of PR and marketing, and the other four partners were in charge of different areas like operations, franchise, and many other aspects, like even the
Mm.
menu and things like that. And
Wow.
that was why we were able to grow to 3 countries, and after 4 years, exit to a public listed company owner. And then moving forward, even Soul Rich Woman, I'm the founder of Soul Rich Woman, but my partner who came in is my mentor, James Wee, and he himself was the one who kind of helped me to structure a few things, the business part of it, in Soul Rich Woman as well, because he has a very good experience growing companies and looking at their cash flow, how do you project growth, and all these things. And he was also my partner in the cafe retail chain. So when we have partners, if I didn't give myself a second chance, I would not be able to grow business after business after business to where I am today. I would have thrown in the towel and said, I'm lousy. I'm not good enough. I don't think I'm awesome because I have failed. I've gone into debt. And that didn't stop me. So remember what my mom said, turn your mess into your message.
Oh, I just love that so much. That's such a wise thing for your mom to say, because it's such a true way. And what you're saying right now is absolutely incredible, because even if you have that misstep, or something didn't work out the way that you thought it was, that you thought it would, there's always this opportunity to continue, right? There's always this opportunity to try again. And I think that's the difference between the people who see the success and then the people who, who don't. Because I'm just thinking right now, even after reading your bio and mentioning Gary Vee, he did something the other day. I saw something that I think he had like 1,000 videos about his winemaking business before he even before people even really started watching it, which I thought was crazy. So there's always that idea of continuing on, right? When you
Yeah, I totally agree with that. In fact, it was that video that inspired me, because when I wrote to Gary Vee, I sent the exact same video, but with my webinar Wednesday, and then all the videos that I've done for almost 1,000 episodes, and I sent that to him. And that was why he granted me the interview. Because I did exactly just that. Did do it when nobody's watching it anyway, and just keep doing it.
I love that so much. What is there something within you though? Okay, so let's say there's someone listening right now who's in that place of feeling stuck. Maybe they've experienced that type of failure and they're not really sure how to navigate next, or how to take that next step. What's something that they could use, something that they could do to take that next step, to encourage them to continue on?
The next step, I believe, for everybody should be just keep focusing on your dreams, because we lose sight of our dreams and our goals because of the problems we face, the noises we have, the naysayers and the dream slayers that's go peppering all around us, especially now when there's quarantine, it's COVID, it's a challenging time. Everybody's at home. And you see me, I see you every day, when literally before that we could go out and live our own lives, right? So now that it has happened, you need to find your own sacred space or sacred haven to keep your soul smiling, like Soul Rich Woman, to keep your soul smiling and happy and overflowing. You need to have your own morning routine. My morning routine is to go out for walks and put on my headphones and just walk for 20 minutes to 30 minutes straight without thinking. It was just like letting my brain rest and just being with myself, so that we keep our cup overflowing and full. And by having that overflowing and full, your mind will be recharged, whether it's a meditation, is it through many other means, and you most likely find an avenue for. Remember to recharge our soul in order to keep our souls smiling. Only then we can get things done. I have coached and mentored thousands of women, and I realized a gap is that you could give them all the how. I can teach you how to do Instagram. I could teach you how to get clients online immediately, like that. It could be right now, in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next day. But are you able to do it? It's all in the head, right? The voice will tell you, no, you can't do it. You're too slow, you're too small, you're not adequate, you're not good enough. And then there'll be your kids, and then there'll be things, and then you are completely distracted. So we need to come back in and align our soul, keep our cups full and overflowing, keep our dreams in sight, stay connected with like-minded women, like Soul Rich Women, like myself, and then continue to go forward, because the why is bigger than the how.
That is so good. I love that you said that. It's so true. I mean, I completely agree with you. When you're rooted in the why, everything else just flows naturally. And so I have a question for you. And I guess it's kind of funny that I asked this question because it's about pivoting. So let's pivot into this question. You have had so many different types of businesses. And, as we were talking about, you've been an entrepreneur for many, many years. And how did you know what the next right pivot was for you? How did you know that, where you wanted to go next and what you wanted to do next?
I was trading time for money. I work, I get paid. I work, I get paid. I don't work, I don't get paid. So I did not want to do that anymore. And that was why I pivoted into the online business. I left my image consultancy work and started a new business, which was to help women to set up their businesses in the online world, or to bring their businesses online. I already started doing that in 2013. And that was how I pivoted and decided to pivot.
Oh, I love that. That's great. It's true. I mean, there's not really ever a clear path on what a pivot's going to look like, but I think that that's really important and powerful for people to listen to, because sometimes we get in our heads that we can't change, or that we have to continue on with what we're doing, and that, what we're doing right now is the only thing that'll be available to us, when, that's not necessarily the truth. I mean, there's always more, right? There's always an opportunity to go in a different direction. And so I think that's a really great reminder for everyone who's listening, that it doesn't have to be the same thing that you're doing right now. Just because you've done it like this doesn't mean that it's the way that it always needs to be, right? So, what is for you like the biggest driver in terms of wanting to help and wanting to empower women to go after what they want?
for women who love the F word, being fabulous, having freedom, financial independence, and above all, family. To me, that is the
Oh.
biggest driver because knowing and owning the F word, I have done it myself. And how can I share this with one woman at a time? I mean, I dream about changing the world, but I can only do that one woman at a time. Because when a woman changes her life, her entire community will benefit. And I've seen it in the lives of the women that I've touched over the last many years. In fact, more than 17 years, I've been doing mentoring with different people. And by doing so, I really truly believe the power of the ripple effect.
I want to quickly pause this interview and tell you about the Handel Group coaches that I've had the honor and privilege of bringing onto the Happiness Happens podcast. With every conversation and interview, I've learned something so impactful and so life changing. Inner You Life is the online coaching course from Handel Group that gives you the tools to get yourself unstuck, wildly happy, and thriving where it matters most to you: your relationship to yourself, career, love, body, money, time, and more. From wherever, whenever. Recommended by Hugh Jackman, Dr. Mark Hyman, Forrest Whitaker, Elena Brower, and hundreds more. Taught in MIT, Stanford School of Business, and 50 plus institutes of learning across the world. Visit inneryou.coach and use the code HappinessHappens at checkout for $75 off. Now, back to the episode.
And that in itself will transcend whatever that I'm already doing. We can do no great things, only small things with great love by Mother Teresa.
That's so good. I love that. Yeah, no, that is really, really powerful, because you're right. When you take the time to build other people up, when you build women up, when you make them feel and understand how they can be, the owner of their own lives, especially for women who might not think that that's possible for them, that is such it's life changing. It's exactly it. So in terms of the business world specifically, and for businesses that you're helping take from offline to online, what are some different things that business owners need to be aware of in terms of branding online and bringing their business online?
My answer will be quite atypical. It will be delegating. It will not be the usual, oh, you should brand yourself. I think delegating is a part that a lot of people have not mastered it yet. I think I have mastered it quite well. I mean, having a team of 21, I mean, it's not exactly a huge team, but I think I've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
I think having a team of 21 virtual, totally, completely virtual. They're from the Philippines and Philippines and India, and then we've got from Ireland as well. So when you
Wow.
look at all these pieces as a solopreneur, you need to start to delegate. I would say this, even you're a solopreneur, listen to me. If you're a solopreneur woman or solopreneur man, you need to delegate, because you can only truly function maximizing your 24 hours a day by delegating. All you need is just $50. Stop thinking that you don't have the money. Now your business is affected, this and that. Okay, how about $50 a month? How about $50 a week? Outsourcing maybe one task to 3 tasks that you completely hate to do. For example, scheduling social media posts. For example, bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is important. I mean, if you're a solopreneur, you need to know how much have you spent and how much have you earned, right? Of course, you said, oh, Genecia, I don't make a lot of money. I can just balance it out very quickly, but that's not what we want, right? So you want to make sure that you are on track. So I really believe in delegating 80% of your to-do list is super uber important. And even if you're a solopreneur, because by doing that, like I said, you can truly function in your zone of genius, something that you absolutely love to do. For example, marketing. I love to do marketing. But when at the beginning of my business, I was stuck in operations. You should be looking at only 20% in your operations and then 80% in sales and marketing, especially in the online climate right now. Everyone, you look left, you look right, somebody else is online. You look left, you look right, somebody else is online. And then if you are not online, if you're not consistent, you're not batching your work, then how is it going to be? One thing I would say, I will share my success with you is I do my podcast for women who love the F word. my content is batched till next year, March already. Next year.
Wow.
My Soul Why 10-minute daily podcast is batched till December already. It's like to the end of the year. So the thing is, when you understand truly the power of delegating, doing it, and then letting everybody else handle everything, and you're just focusing on delivering the piece of content, that branding that you want to communicate with your audience, and let everybody else handle that, I think that in itself allow you to be enjoying abundance and grace of entrepreneurship at an easier way, because
Mm,
making money is easy. Making money is really easy. All you need to do is start. Quit thinking, start doing. And stop blaming and stop whining, because
mhm.
nobody else is going to help you except yourself. And all you need is just internet. If you have data on your phone, you have internet, make full use of that. You don't need the best equipment to start. Look at Gary Vaynerchuk. He doesn't have a team before that. All he does is just take up his handphone and then he just does his Periscope and Instagram Live, and then
Yeah.
the car is moving. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting seasick, But you know what? He just do it anyway. So stop thinking, start doing.
I love that. Just take action and just do it. And that's the thing. Like, it's getting yourself out of the opportunity to be stuck in the fear. You know what I mean? It takes you out of that uh, sitting too long in the feeling that might hold you back, and instead giving you the opportunity to really just take that next step and make that move. And I love that. What about like authenticity online? So in a space that is so, you know, over I don't want to say overcrowded, but like oversaturated with all these different industries and so many people doing so many different things, what can authenticity bring to you, and what are some tips for, you know, really bringing authenticity back into your message and into what you're doing?
For me, authenticity simply means whatever that you're thinking of doing and whatever you say that you are the same person. Although a lot of the women I was coaching, they have this concern about privacy of their personal life versus the business life. I think that is quite a main big concern because of the children. I think they want to
Mm-hmm.
protect their children as well, or sometimes their husbands will like to come into the limelight and to be seen on social media. So we need to put all these and respect them, these pieces in place. I think the other one that I will say, if you really talk about authenticity, having understanding all these constraints, you must be looking at how are you using your story to tell the message. So I think in itself, how are you using the story to tell your message? Authenticity online means that first you need to have a story. Two, you need to be consistent telling the same story. And number three, you got to be writing things about the story and then basically turning it into the 10 things of that same thing, of that one thing. I repeat, of that 10 things, of that same thing, of that one thing. So you basically use different ways to represent that piece, one piece of the story or milestone that you are representing. And that in itself will help you to build the base of foundation of telling a story in multiple ways, but it's still the same piece. Just like today, I'm sharing with you on this show with Simona. It is all about telling my story and sharing my journey with you. And
Mm-hmm.
it is definitely, I've told it many times, but I sometimes I use different ways to tell the same story, right? Because of the
Right.
different aspect of the show, different criteria. So you need to know how to put that in as well. So authenticity comes from the heart and comes from the soul. So don't tell things that you are not. I think that in itself, people can find out really easily, especially in the online world now. You
Yeah.
can't fake it. Just look at how many fake photoshopping photos on Instagram and look at the before and after, right? You don't want that to happen. And you want to still be maintained as who you are. Of course, telling a story is the key way to be seen as authentic online.
I love that so much. That's so good. If you're thinking about, you know, different online marketing trends right now and different things that are happening in the online space, what are some key things for entrepreneurs to keep note of in this current moment and the way that the online space is?
three things. First, continue to batch your content. I would not say this enough. Batch your content, because being an online entrepreneur myself, or helping women to go from offline to online, because I don't function in Singapore alone. In fact, I travel a lot. In fact, it was because of COVID. That's why I'm back in Singapore. If not, I'm traveling and like jet setting 3 weeks out of Singapore, 1 week I'm back. So the thing is this, batch your content so that you can really enjoy the freedom lifestyle. Really,
Mm.
really think about it. Batch your content. Number two, repurpose. That means one piece of content like this, like a podcast, a video, can be repurposed 1,000 times. A lot of times when I do Facebook Live, a lot of people don't understand. They say, hey, do you have X number of viewers? But what's next, right? So what I do is I repurpose all my content onto multiple blogs. I put it into guest posts. I put it into my LinkedIn. I put it in so many places, like chopped up 1,000 times, right? The last one would be really look into podcasting. I think this is something that is an upcoming trend, especially in Southeast Asia and in Asia, especially because not many women are podcasting in this
Mm.
era. I think in the US, and Europe, I think in the other side of the world that you are at, probably is already there for many years. I mean, podcasting has been around, but it has never been seen as a way to do lead gen. It's never a way to seen as a way to do really serious branding. It's just like, okay, it's a tool for entertainment, right? But now people are seriously exploring podcasting as a way to do business, even to get clients in itself. And we have had success just with podcasting alone, getting clients, getting leads and inquiries for our businesses, which was super amazing. And when you do it right the first time, I think that's key of getting a podcast to success. It's not just the subscribers and the downloads. I would say really at the point when people listen, do they take action? And when they follow you
Mm-hmm.
enough, do they buy from you? I think sometimes people just get too absorbed with the subscribers, the millions of downloads, and they get all absorbed into these statistics, which are great, especially if you're an influencer. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's awesome. I think it's really beautiful. But then my question to you as a business owner, I'm a business owner, would be, what are you doing to get the leads and inquiries? I mean, you can have a fancy report card and an empty bank account. Which one would you choose? A fancy report card with millions of subscribers and thousands of blah, blah, blah. But on your bank account, nobody's buying your stuff.
That's so
So who's
true. That's such a good point. No, it's so true. And it's such a good point that you make, especially about the podcasting part, because this is a thing that a lot of people that I'm seeing right now are wanting to dive more into. And I'll be honest, like when I first started podcasting, it was about a year and a half ago, and I thought that it was it was just something that a lot of people just did. And then as I got into the space, I started to realize that, there's lots of people podcasting, but they do a couple shows, a couple episodes here or there, and then they stop. Or, they're upset because they didn't get, the sponsorship right away, or they didn't get the 100,000 downloads that they thought they were going to get in like 2 months. But, it's a process and it's continuous. And I think that what goes unnoticed with the podcasting world and having a podcast is that it takes work. You know what I mean? It takes the work. You have to, make sure you're always bringing on incredible guests and that you're having incredible conversations, that people care about what you're saying, just like you're saying right now. And then all of that other stuff follows afterwards. But you're so right in saying, like, essentially you kind of said it without saying it, like when you stop worrying about all of the subscribers and all of those different things, that's when it starts to come to you.
But it's, what, it's very true, Simona. It's so true. So many women I've coached, and they're like, but I don't have I'm not this person. I'm not like, I don't have a million subscribers. And you see these ridiculous Facebook ads. I mean, I love those girlfriends, but they tell you you're gonna have 1 million downloads and 100,000 subscribers, and sometimes these numbers make the person feel very small as well. But of course, like we said, it's the energy, right? If you think that these numbers allow you to play small, it is the way you perceive it. But people get stuck with the report card of that numbers, which data is queen. All right, that one I have to agree. All right, I totally agree. But your bank account is empty. You have to reconsider that. Start with, I'd rather have a quality of 100,000 200,000 members and
Mhm.
have amazing bank account as well and leading the freedom lifestyle than chasing after the report card of what others have painted you to have, the Chanel of the social media, the LV of the social media, and your bank account is empty. Just like those who have really fancy external, but they are in
Mhm.
credit card debts.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm putting the visual in place, you know.
I love it. And you are making such an incredible point right now too, because you can't just sit and you know judge what something looks like on the outside, because we have actually no idea what happens behind the scenes, right? And so I think that it's so important to remember that something can look so beautiful and so shiny and so, you know, incredible, but we don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is actually something too, like, no, you know, hate or disrespect or judgment or anything to the people who say things like this, but you know, the you know, you can go from $0 to, you know, $500,000 in 2 months. When I see stuff like that, it makes me feel it like not good enough. You know what I mean? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing? You know what I mean? But what we forget is like all the things that that person had to go through, you know, the 17 years of experience that you had to do, the trial and error in every single area to be able to get to that point. So while that's a true statement, we often don't get to see all the work that happens behind the scenes for years before.
Yeah, exactly. So don't just look at the glorious success that we all have. Really look into the hard work, the sweat, the tears that we all go through. And we started with 0 subscribers and 0 viewers. Oh my God.
I know, it's true. When I first started my podcast, I think I had like my first few episodes, it was like 14 downloads. And I'm pretty sure it was just like my friends and family like listening, you know. And I was so thrilled. I was like, oh my God, like 14 people listened. So exciting. And then it grows and it grows and it multiplies. And then it becomes like just this incredible, you know, this incredible platform, this incredible space. But you know, it's something that I think about often. Like, if you can't appreciate the $10, how will you ever appreciate the 1 million? You never will be able to.
Well said. I
Thank you.
love that.
Thank you. Thank you. I have another question for you, kind of hopping back to content. Then I have one more, and then I'll let you go because I imagine you probably have an incredible day ahead of you. So when it comes to content itself, so you said, you know, take that one thing that you always talk about and then sort of multiply it into different types of content and repurpose and that kind of thing. So a thing that I've been hearing a lot of right now is, you know, having 3 different pillars of content. So instead of just like one main thing that you always talk about and just little mini umbrellas in that, having 3 main pillars. So for me, for example, it would be like mindset would be one of them, spirituality is another, and business is another. And then within those 3 different ones, there's like all little mini pillars. But what do you think about that strategy? Do you think it kind of gets messy, or what do you think?
I think women get very stuck with this. Oh, it must be spiritual. It must be this and this. I find it very limiting because
Mm.
we have got women who have great stories and they have great content to post on social media. I mean, I do teach that in the strategy before. A long time ago, we talk about, you know, having like fabulous Monday, great Tuesdays, you know, webinar
Yeah.
Wednesdays, and fun Thursdays, and TGIF Fridays, right? We used to have that, and they try to do that. So it is great, but after a while, the lack of personality and personalization, especially now. So I'm not saying that this content strategy doesn't work. It works, but only with storytelling and personalization.
Mm.
That will work. Because anybody can just go to Canva right now and do up quotes, you know, or go to Easil, EASIL, and go there and create another code as well. So everybody, anybody can do the same thing, especially now software is such an affordable price, or even if it's free, the entry level it's there. And now that you have all these content pieces, whether it's spiritual, whether it's a mindset and pieces like that, how are you personalizing in your writing? Or in the
Mm.
code that you write, it's nothing new. You're just reinventing the wheel, right? Nothing, don't need to reinvent the wheel. Someone has already said it before. You're saying it, but say it in your context. Say it in your own story. Say it with your own experience. And only then you will be uniquely your own.
I love that. That's so good. And it goes back to, you know, there's no perfect way to do anything that you're doing. It's all about what's authentic and what's unique and what's personal to you. And I love that. And it really shines through in everything that you do. You're very, like, you know what you're talking about, but you do it in your way. And I love that so much. Okay, this is my last question for you, and it is the Happiness Happens podcast. It's a question that I ask all of my guests when they come on the show, and it is, how can someone create a little more happiness in their day, every day, starting today?
Choose to be happy. It doesn't have to be right all the time. Remember? Happy wife, happy life.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, I think that was just my favorite answer. It's true. It doesn't have to be a big, thing every single day. It's a choice. It can come down to a choice of how you
You know
want to feel.
what, Simona? Actually, I wanted to do a podcast on being happy because one of the pillars of Soul Rich Woman is fabulous. And fabulous to me means being happy. And that is missing in a lot of women because we are all so hustled and beaten up by our everyday situations, or we are so caught up with our children and our husbands, but forgetting who we are as a person. So being happy is something that I wanted to talk about. I was contemplating of starting one more podcast on just talking about being happy. And it's just going to be another like 10 minutes kind of thing. But you know what I love about your show is when I listened to it, I just felt that you kind of like have the persona of happiness in itself, your voice and your energy. So that was why, I think this is the perfect place to be and the perfect place to support you to be on the show.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. Thank you so much. That makes me feel so nice, and I think that it hasn't all been, sunshine and rainbows, and it takes, time, but I think that when you can finally get to that place of like, the inner peace and just feeling that contentment with yourself and knowing that your choices will sometimes be wrong, sometimes they'll be right, whatever mistake you make will lead you to the next place. I think knowing that at the core is the most important thing, because that'll always forever guide you. So I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And before we go, could you tell our listeners where they can find you? I'll link everything in the show notes so that it's easy for them too.
Well, you can, if you love today's episode, you can connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram at Genecia Alluora, GeneCiAALLUORE. And I've got 2 free gifts for you. First, Secrets of Personal Branding. That's the book I've written, and I'm giving it away for free. And it's going to teach you the 7 steps of branding yourselves in the online space. Number 2 is delegate 80% of your to-do list so that you can function on your zone of genius while making money online. Okay, so you're going to delegate out to your assistant. This is a workbook. I'm teaching you how to delegate to assistants so that you can really choose a task that you want to focus on and be the great entrepreneur that you are meant to be. And that's available at soulrichwoman.com, SoulRichWoman.com, soulrichwoman.com.
Amazing. I will put all those links in the show notes so people can get in contact with you super easy. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was super fun and super insightful.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode on the podcast. I hope that you loved this one as much as I did. I hope that you go back to the beginning and listen to it over again, write down all those incredible, incredible nuggets of wisdom and implement them into your life. You guys, this is such great information, and being connected, with you all in this space is absolutely incredible. So I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it. Ooh. I think I hit stop recording.
Oh, yeah, it's still.
Thanks so much for being here today. I hope these words have brought you inspiration, insight, and a bit more happiness. Please leave a comment or a review if this episode resonates with you. I would be so grateful. Until next time, remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.